Episode, we are talking about the underlying root cause imbalances behind your hormonal issues. So whether you experience any sort of premenstrual or period-based discomforts, or if you have any sort of diagnosed hormonal imbalance like endometriosis or PCOS or PMDD or infertility, then this episode is for you. We are going to be talking about the top signs that you yourself might be experiencing some sort of a hormonal imbalance, and we're going to give you some clarity on what got you to where you are today. So where that hormonal imbalance came from for you, so that you can really empower yourself with the exact next steps that you need to achieve hormonal balance once and for all. So let's get right into it. How do we know if we have a hormone imbalance? So of course, there's some very common signs. So any sort of premenstrual discomforts, anything from PMS to the week before your period, low mood, low energy levels, weight gain, puffiness, breast tenderness, skin breakouts the week before your period or through ovulation or during your period as well. Then of course there's the actual period discomforts once you get your bleed. So painful periods, things like heavy bleeding or irregular periods, meaning changes in the length of your cycle, the cycle duration, which a regular cycle we would consider anywhere from 21 days to 35 days. If you're noticing any changes in your cycle, where from cycle to cycle, the amount of days between your bleed changes. So a regular cycle should be within a day or two, quite consistent every single month. For example, myself, I have a very standard 27-day cycle, and my period will always come 27 or 28 days. And unless there's any major changes going on in my health or my stress levels, in which case I know that there's some sort of a suspected hormonal imbalance going on that caused that irregularity in that menstrual cycle. Things like heavy bleeding or changes in your cycle where it's gone really light or spotting in between your periods, all of these can be signs of a hormonal imbalance. Of course, if at any point throughout your menstrual cycle you're experiencing any hormonal related mood swings or emotional changes that are quite drastic. Of course, we're human beings and, especially as women, it's natural that we're going to experience fluctuations throughout the month, and we're human, so we're not going to feel like on top of the world every single day. And yet, if we're noticing consistently halfway throughout our cycle, every single month around ovulation, we're feeling really irritable, or the week or the days leading up to our period, we're just feeling extreme moodiness or really weepy and really sad or experiencing depression. All of these can be a sign of a hormonal based imbalance. If you're currently on, or if you've ever been on birth control, this increases your likelihood of a hormonal imbalance significantly. Of course, if you're on any hormonal-based birth control right now, that's creating a hormonal imbalance in your body on purpose to prevent pregnancy. However, that also comes with a lot of symptoms and concerns and risks as well. Another top sign is any skin-based issues throughout your cycle. So if you experience things like acne or skin breakouts, either all month long or before your period or during your period, this can be a sign of a hormonal imbalance. Changes in your hair. So women with hormonal imbalances, I often see hair loss, or the other side of it too, excessive hair growth, usually in areas that we don't necessarily want it to be, on the chest or on the chin or in these other places. Another common sign of a hormonal imbalance, weight gain or difficulty losing weight. We see this quite often in women that are experiencing something called estrogen dominance, or too much estrogen, or simply too much estrogen in relationship to her progesterone, which there should be a very specific and unique ratio going on there for optimal hormonal wellness. And then finally, if you ever experience any thyroid-based issues, if you've been diagnosed with any thyroid issues, hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, then of course we're more likely to have a sex hormone imbalance as well, as often the same things that cause a thyroid imbalance is the same causes behind, oftentimes, a sex hormone imbalance, meaning issues with our estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, those types of things. If you currently or sometimes experience those signs, then this could be a sign that you may be experiencing a hormonal imbalance, which is certainly something to address. So let's get into now, what are the top 10 underlying root cause imbalances behind these hormonal issues? So when it comes to our health, there's always a reason why, especially if this isn't something that you've experienced since you were born, right? If it's not a genetic-based disorder, we might have genetic dispositions or genetic tendencies. However, your whole life you might have experienced one way. There's a reason or a condition or an underlying root cause imbalance behind why those genes perhaps got turned on. So for example, a hormonal balance that runs in my genes, we could say, my mother, my grandfather, and who knows beyond that, have all experienced thyroid-based issues. Everybody in my family has hypothyroidism. Now, I get my thyroid checked regularly, and my thyroid hormones have always been in balance, not only in range, but in optimal range. So it's in my genes, but with diet, with lifestyle, with stress reduction, with supplementation, all these things, I can keep those genes turned off. And with the people in my family, there's reasons why those genes got turned on to begin with. And our job is to keep those genes turned off. So what are the top 10 underlying root cause imbalances behind your hormonal issues, which is going to empower us to know what to do and to create a bit of a roadmap for ourselves moving forward to know what got us to where we are in the first place. Number one, root cause imbalance behind any hormonal issue is poor diet. When it comes to nutrition and any sort of hormonal imbalance, we're either getting too much of something or not enough of something. This is really how simple health is. Health is simply a state of balance, and dis-ease, or whenever we experience any symptoms, is just a sign telling us that something is imbalanced in the body. Too much or not enough of something. So poor diet, it can be too much of things like food sensitivities that are causing an inflammatory response in our body. Poor food combining, too much inflammatory foods, right? The standard American diet is a recipe. The fastest way to get a hormonal imbalance is eat the standard American diet 7 days a week, It's a recipe for hormonal disaster. The standard American diet is a very inflammatory diet, way too many carbs to protein ratio. There's refined foods and sugars and all kinds of pesticides and chemicals and heavy metals in the foods in the standard American diet that of course disrupt everything from our blood sugar that can cause hormonal imbalances to nutritional deficiencies. This is another common thing that we see with hormonal imbalances in relationship to nutrition, is we're simply missing, we're not getting nearly enough of like the minerals and the omegas and the vitamin E and the B vitamins that our body needs to produce adequate amounts of hormones and to metabolize through our liver an excess of hormones. So we need that fine line, that fine balance. So this is where, of course, having a healthy, balanced, hormone-supportive nutritional plan is essential for hormonal balance. Root cause imbalance number 2 behind hormonal issues is stress. And this is something that every hormonal imbalance client that I work with, we're always addressing stress. It's something that we can't underestimate. So our body's response to stress activates a cortisol production. Okay, cortisol is our primary stress hormone. And when that stress hormone is activated, our sex hormones naturally go down. We can't be producing cortisol and healthy, juicy, important sex hormones at the same time. Your body is so intelligent, and your body will always prioritize survival and therefore the production of stress hormones that help you to fight or flee a potentially threatening or dangerous situation over reproduction and procreation. Your body will say, procreation is not essential, therefore we don't need our sex hormones to procreate when there's something really threatening and stressful going on. This is often what we see can be a contributing factor in cases of infertility, is just our body's cortisol levels, our stress hormones are so high that we never have the chance to produce things like progesterone that's needed for maintaining pregnancy. We see this a lot in women that can conceive but can't maintain and hold that pregnancy, unfortunately. We need to get on top of our stress levels, and just in today's society with so much pressure on women and so many responsibilities, both from the outside but also internally, the pressure we put on ourselves to get it all done, to achieve it all, to be everything for everyone, to be perfectionists, we people please, and we're just in a constant state of stress. Our job is to reduce our stress, bring down those cortisol levels so that our sex hormones have a chance to be in higher production, get those progesterone levels up. When we bring our progesterone levels up through bringing those stress hormones down, we have a natural PMS tranquilizer, right? Progesterone helps us to feel calm, to feel balanced, to feel at ease in our body and not have such extremes, highs and lows when it comes to our mood and our energy levels. Root cause imbalance number 3 is blood sugar issues. If we have any sort of blood sugar dysregulation, and that can be through things like diabetes, conditions, PCOS, almost always there's some sort of blood sugar regulation issue going on, which can be through diet and lifestyle. It can be genetic. It can be a pre-sign of diabetes. Lots of possibilities going on there that we'd want to investigate further. But oftentimes, blood sugar regulation is as simple as eating balanced meals. One of the main reasons for imbalanced blood sugar is that a lot of times we're eating what I call naked carbs, meaning you're just eating carbs alone. You're just having fruit alone. You're just having a smoothie with no protein, no fat, no fiber. You're having juice that's just pure sugar. We're eating like granola bars that are just like pure oats, carbs, sugar, fruits, those types of things. And we're eating them on their own, right? Those are what we'd call like healthier alternatives, but they're not balanced meals. To keep our blood sugar nice and stable, we really need a balance of complex non-refined carbohydrates or starches, yes, but also that in conjunction with fiber and protein and healthy fats to help slow the absorption of that glucose so we don't get this massive spike and then drop in our blood sugar, which wreaks havoc on our hormones. So there's lots that we can do to support blood sugar balance. There's lots of tips and tricks that I'm going to share in another episode, as well as in an upcoming masterclass I'm going to be sharing with you. So stay tuned until the end. I have a really exciting opportunity for you. And of course, in that, I'll be able to share a lot more on what to actually do for regulating blood sugar to balance hormones. Okay, root cause imbalance number 4 behind your hormonal issues is inadequate sleep and or rest. A sleep-deprived nervous system is primed for anxiety and hormonal imbalances. It's primed for stress. And of course, that cortisol and sex hormone ratio is going to be imbalanced. Sleep is really where our body goes through such an important process and series of events for rebalancing the body. That's where our hormone production is re-stimulated, where our cortisol levels are rebalanced. All of this happens inside of our sleep and getting enough rest. So when we're constantly on the go, we're constantly stressed, if we have any underlying sleep issues, if you're not getting 8 quality hours of sleep every single night, of course our hormones are primed to be imbalanced. It affects our nervous system so directly when we don't get enough sleep. We feel that, right? We feel like wired. We feel our nervous system just feels kind of like shot or burnt out. And so of course the connection between our nervous system and its state of balance or imbalance is a direct link to our hormonal state of balance. When our nervous system's dysregulated, it can't give the messages and the signals to our hormones to increase or decrease and stay regulated inside of the body. So sleep, good old rest is an essential key for hormonal balance. Root cause imbalance number 5, this is a common one, is gut health imbalances. So your gut contains more than 100 trillion different bacteria, which produce all kinds of metabolites that affect our hormone health, both positively and negatively. So our gut microbiome regulates hormones by modulating something called insulin resistance, which is again connected to blood sugar balance, essential for hormonal production. If we have any sort of gut imbalance, meaning we don't have enough good bacteria to produce those metabolites for hormonal production, or we have an overgrowth of bad bacteria or bad pathogens, things like common gut pathogens like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or a yeast overgrowth like candida, or mold overgrowth, or parasites, or something like a bacteria called H. pylori. All of this has a massive impact on, of course, our gut, which manufactures so much of our hormones and creates so many messages between our brain and our hormones. Of course, this is imbalance. So gut health, gut healing is essential for hormonal balance. And if you are experiencing any sort of gut-based issues, this is really a first place to start. And I do have inside of my Heal Your Gut program, we go through everything that you need to heal and rebalance your gut if that is your unique root cause imbalance, to start to balance your hormones at the deepest levels. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions on that, or if you'd like to see if it might be the right fit for you. Number 6, root cause imbalance behind your hormonal issues is over or under exercising. So of course, physical activity influences deeply our hormonal health. So when we exercise, we're improving things like circulation and lymphatic drainage, which is needed to clear excess hormones and waste from the body when we have too much estrogen, causing a lot of these symptoms like breast tenderness before our period, weight gain, puffiness, skin breakouts, moodiness before our period. That lymphatic drainage that we get through exercise helps to clear a lot of that. Exercise is going to increase our hormone receptor sensitivity, meaning that it enhances the delivery of nutrients and hormone signals. We like that. Regular to moderate exercise reduces things like insulin levels and increases insulin sensitivity, which is needed for blood sugar regulation, and therefore, again, those nice healthy hormones. So when it comes to exercise, we want this Goldilocks rule. We want the middle path, not too much, not too little. We know the benefits of exercise for healthy hormones, but I also see in my practice often women that are exercising constantly and working out so hard and not creating any ebbs and flows in their exercise intensity through their menstrual cycle. They're working out the exact same every day. They're like, why am I working out so hard and I can't lose weight? Girl, it's because of your hormones. You're working out way too much. So too much exercise also is going to elevate cortisol levels. And what's that going to do to your progesterone? Needed for good mood, good metabolism, energy levels, feeling calm throughout that last week of your cycle. It's going to force those levels down. Again, body can't produce progesterone when it's working so hard on survival, which is your stress hormones. And of course, over exercising makes our body think like, why am I running so hard? I must be running from something. There must be something going on wrong. And so I've got to put my body into that stress cortisol-y state to exercise, which actually has the opposite effect on our metabolism. It's going to slow it down versus speed it up. So balanced exercise is key. Root cause imbalance number 7 is environmental toxins. So there are more than 80,000 human-made chemicals that we are exposed to on a daily basis. And many of these toxins and pollutants disrupt our body's natural hormonal balance, and they wreak havoc on our hormones. So we're exposed on a daily basis through the foods that we eat, things like pesticides, to the chemicals in our cosmetic products that we put on our skin and our hair, pharmaceutical drugs, household cleaners, artificial fragrances. I was just at the gym this morning, boosting my hormonal health, and they have this super toxic room spray fragrance thing in the corner. And every time I go in, when I'm there by myself, I just go and shut it off. I climb up on the shelf and I turn it off because I do not want that being sprayed on me, on my open pores when I'm sweating at the gym, and inhaling that and just having such a hormonal disrupting effect. So a lot of these things, everything from household cleaners to those fragrances to plastics and things that we're getting from the cookware that we use, heavy metals and things like Teflon, these are all scientifically proven to be hormone disrupting chemicals or estrogen disrupting chemicals. We call these EDCs. So a lot of these chemicals have what we call estrogenic properties, meaning that they mimic the effect of estrogen in our body, or they interfere with our estrogen receptors. This leads to, of course, excessive estrogenic activity in the body and can really cause a disruption in that delicate balance between estrogen and progesterone, which leads to estrogen dominance. And again, all the symptoms of that. So things like weight gain or cellulite or moodiness, menstrual irregularities, fibroids, these types of things. And of course, there's heavy metals too, which are present in our food and our water and all kinds of chemicals that we're exposed to, which things like lead and mercury and arsenic, of course, disrupt the normal function of the endocrine system or the hormonal system. They interfere with our body's natural hormone production and metabolism, and again, just cause all sorts of dysregulation, which kind of sucks. Root cause imbalance number 8 is a sluggish liver. So this is a connection that we may or may not realize. This was a bit more surprising for me as I was studying this in school. So of course, a healthy liver is key to healthy hormones. So when our liver is really healthy and vibrant, it metabolizes, of course, all of our food. It helps with metabolizing proteins and carbohydrates, and it stores nutrients needed for hormone production and metabolism, as well as it's going to neutralize and metabolize all of the toxins, a lot of the toxins that are disrupting our hormonal balance. So of course, one of the main things that we can do is to support our liver to reduce the amount of toxins present in the body. When it's sluggish, it can't metabolize the amount of toxins floating around in our system and wreaks havoc on our hormones. The other thing is that a healthy liver helps to metabolize a lot of the excess estrogen floating around in your system if we're experiencing estrogen dominance. So too much estrogen and a lot of the hormonal imbalances that we see in society today, too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. I see this in about 80 to 90% of the hormonal cases that I work with. So we need a healthy liver to metabolize and to break down a lot of that excess estrogen in the body so that progesterone can rise and estrogen isn't wreaking havoc. So liver support, right? And again, if you believe that a hormonal imbalance is caused by things like a sluggish liver for yourself or a buildup of toxins, one of the best things that you can do is something called a functional medicine detox, which is a very effective, clinically proven liver detoxification protocol that basically just gives your liver everything that it needs to do its job really well. It's designed to detoxify, it does it really, really well, but when it doesn't have the key nutrients that it needs to do phase 1 and phase 2 of liver detoxification, which is basically how your body breaks down those toxins through the liver, then our liver can't do the best job that it can. So I do have an entire Radiant Health Detox course that gives you everything that you need for how to achieve your own at-home 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox. And we'll link that up in the show notes if you believe that that could be a contributing root cause to your hormonal imbalances. Is living out of alignment with your hormonal rhythms. So woman, beautiful woman, you are not the same all month long. And therefore, hormonally, you're not the same all month long. Your diet, your exercise, your social needs, your sexual needs, your cognitive needs naturally change throughout the 4 different phases of your menstrual cycle. You're not meant to eat the same, work the same, exercise the same, socialize the same, be intimate in the same way every single day of the month. We're meant to change. Our needs change throughout the month. So one of the best ways to create more hormonal balance for ourselves is going to be learning how to cycle sync. And I created an entire podcast episode on how to sync your dietary and social and cognitive changes throughout the month, how to sync up those activities to your menstrual cycle so that you can be at your best. This is one of the best biohacks ever for women, is learn how to cycle sync. So we'll link up to that podcast episode. It's super in-depth, super thorough. I'd love for you to have a listen to it for how to really biohack your way as a woman to greater hormonal well-being and health for yourself. One of the main things, again, is, for example, things like in your luteal phase, the week before your period, your cortisol is naturally higher during that time. That's just a scientific fact. Naturally, our cortisol levels are a little bit higher in this luteal phase. We naturally feel a little bit more stressed out. So if we happen to be already a little bit more biologically stressed, and our lifestyle where we're filling our calendar that week and taking on way too much at that time and way too many responsibilities, not asking for help, not asking for support, trying to achieve it all, then of course progesterone's going to decline and we're going to have all kinds of PMS. We're going to be super moody, we're going to have crampiness, we're going to have breast tenderness, all these things, because we're simply living out of alignment with our natural hormonal rhythms. That's just one example. Finally, root cause imbalance number 10 behind your hormonal imbalances is that we are disconnected as women so deeply from our feminine nature. So when women are disconnected from their body, their womb, their feminine nature, of course our hormones are going to be impacted. The world that we live in functions in such a way that really favors men's hormonal rhythms, the 9 to 5 clock in our workplace, right? Where we're meant to be the exact same every single day. And even the extremism of feminism, right? That's not just about men and women being equal and having equal opportunities, but feminism as an approach that we're supposed to be the same. And yes, we should be equal, of course, but I don't want to be the same as a man because biologically I'm not. And I have strengths and I have weaknesses, and so do all the other genders. And one of the best things that we can do as women is to connect to and to honor our hormonal rhythm, which is not the patriarchal 9 to 5 clock. It's honoring that there's certain phases throughout the month where we're more primed for different activities, our communication, our leadership, our nurturing qualities, all of these things, our capacity to relate, our capacity to empathize, changes throughout the month. Honoring our feminine nature, getting out of the toxic masculine hustle and push and grind and trying to constantly be in a state of achieving and producing and being everything for everyone, and recognizing that you, woman, as a being of nature, you go through cycles. And just like nature goes through the 4 seasons and she stays balanced, we too go through different phases and seasons and cycles every single month. And in order to maintain hormonal balance for ourselves, we've got to learn how to love and appreciate that, and to see our body from a different light, not thinking about our period as though it's this big evil curse that's like out to get us, but seeing it as a gift and learning as a woman how to alchemize, how to unlock the secrets and the mysteries and the magic and the bliss behind our hormonal advantage, behind our menstrual cycle. This is one of the most profound keys. These are, my dear, the top 10 underlying root cause imbalances behind your hormonal issues. I hope this gives you a bit of a roadmap of where to go next. And I'm so excited to share with you that I have an amazing masterclass coming up called the Healthy Happy Hormones Masterclass, which I'm going to be sharing with you an entire roadmap for hormonal wellness and pain-free periods. I'm going to share with you the exact keys and the next steps that you need to unlock hormonal harmony for yourself and achieve pain-free and PMS-free periods. So if this is you, if you've been experiencing any signs or symptoms of a hormonal imbalance that we talked about today, if you're curious to learn more about the root causes behind why you might be experiencing those hormonal issues, and to receive an entire roadmap of the next steps for you to achieve that hormonal harmony, I would love to see you there. So either send me a DM on Instagram, I am at Bindi Stables, or visit my website, bindistables.com/happy healthy hormones, and you can register to join. So that is all for today. Again, these top 10 underlying root cause imbalances are: number 1, poor diet; number 2, stress; number 3, blood sugar issues; 4, inadequate sleep or rest; number 5, gut health imbalances; number 6, over or under exercising; number 7 is environmental toxins; 8, sluggish liver; 9, living out of alignment with your hormonal rhythms; and 10, disconnect from your feminine nature. So I hope this helps. That's all for today, and I will see you back for another episode real soon. Take care.